Opportunities don't announce. You must grab opportunities. You must create your space.
What gave you the confidence to still want to get a higher position, despite just being the youngest in that particular group?
One of the things that moves me is wanting to bring change, is wanting to do things different, is wanting to bring a paradigm shift. And in business, you must be able to manage your cash flows.
Good evening and welcome to the Late Night Business, the show in which we out will make you learn matters around entrepreneurship. My name is Ian Dennis, and tonight we have a very, very interesting conversation with a gentleman who's literally done it all at a very, very young age, from being a chairman of one of the leading Saccos, Umoja Wendani Sacco, and also being a director of one of the most interesting companies within the borehole industry. And before I get to introduce my guest, I'd like to let you know that you're here at the Capital Club, the place that you need to be as an entrepreneur. Within the Capital Club, you have access to different particular clubs around the world. So one of the interesting things is that you're operating in a world whereby it's a global world. And once you're a member of the Capital Club, you can have access to this particular amenities to whatever city that you fly to, be it Dubai, be it New York. Once you're a member of the Capital Club, you have all this particular access to the same amenities. The gentleman I'm speaking about, whom I'm about to just have a conversation with and whom you're about to learn from, is Kenneth Ngotho, who's the chairman of Umoja Wendani Sacco, a Sacco that's literally running, or rather having assets in its billions. And you just want to find out how exactly that particular journey has transpired. He's also the director of Pumptech Solutions Limited. Kenneth, karibu sana, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Nice to see you.
Asante sana.
Maybe just the first question I like starting with all particular guests that I have. What exactly are you most grateful for today?
Wow, I'm grateful for an opportunity to be alive. Because I'm alive, I'm able to pursue my purpose and my passion. So I'm grateful to God for life.
Interesting. What's your purpose? I think I'm always very interested in that. What do you feel that you're pursuing your purpose is?
Wow. One of the things when I was growing up, I felt that I needed to be a young CEO. I kept pursuing and saying that when I grow up, I would want to be a young CEO when I'm young, before I'm 40. And I would want to establish my own establishment because I believe I'm supposed to be a producer, not a consumer. And I kept telling myself, how do I become a producer and not a consumer? Because a producer is more of production.
Yes.
And one of my purpose has been to create. I'm a creator. I like creating and creating things to see things start. So that is what I look for, and that is my purpose, feeling that I want to create and leave a legacy and an impact wherever I step.
Interesting. And you've mentioned that from when you were young, you wanted to be a CEO. What exactly triggered that? Because I know when you were young, all you think about is sweets. You wanted to be a CEO. What exactly triggered you to think like this?
Interestingly, and that I have been a leader all through, from primary, gone to high school. I think I've just been in the leadership from where you are a person who brings change. And I kept telling myself that the thing that can cause me to be a change maker or an agent of change is by having a position of influence. And in my journey, I've been able to be in several positions that God has also enabled me to bring influence at my age.
Interesting. Do you think people are born leaders or people are made leaders?
Good. There are two aspects on that when it comes about leadership. They are born leaders. Like me, I think I'm born leader. It is in me.
It's a natural instinct.
It is a natural one. I flow. It is effortlessly. When I step into a position and a place, I just flow and produce. There are those that learn in leadership. There are people who have to put effort to know how to lead, to know how to converse. Even a conversation like this, is someone who needs to do a lot of research, do a lot of rehearsal. I remember when we were young, when you were told maybe you're going to speak somewhere, you go to Arboretum and you stand on the trees and you speak to them, they shall speak there. So I want to assure you, I was not in Arboretum yesterday. So I've just come, there I am.
Jalo kulala kiomba.
Sequenda Arboretum. I remember those days when you told you to be speaking, you go to Arboretum and the trees are there and you start talking.
You
practice it. So I want to assure you, Jana was not in Arboretum.
You're not in Arboretum. You just came and you just about to have a conversation.
When you told me that you want us to have a conversation, I felt, why not? Let me come to this space.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You mentioned, what was it called? Just take me through your upbringing. Where exactly did you grow up? How exactly was your upbringing? I like asking this question not because it's monotonous, but because I always want to understand where this particular genesis came from. How was your upbringing?
One, I am a born Umo.
Oh, Umoja.
Yeah, I'm an Umoja person. You know those days of Umoja renegade?
Yes.
I've grown Umoja. I went to Unity Primary School. That tells you, sisi ni wala tu Umoja kitambo. And Unity was the only school in Inako. And Inako was a forest. But today when you go there, Inako is an estate. Grown in Umoja, I've also been brought up in a church. Background, our parents were Presbyterian in the PCA church. And that tells you I've grown in PC Umoja, which I'm still a member until now. Went to high school, Tala High School. Then after Tala High School,
Kagundu Road.
Nilikuwa natoka Umo. Then you go there, Caltex. Napata matri unafika shule, 1 matri and you're in school. Then after that I went to Campo, did BCom management, and then started the hustle of looking for a job.
Interesting. And maybe before you get to campus and all, what's the background of your parents? Were they wealthy? What exactly were your parents doing?
No,
how exactly was that particular setting of your...
Thank you. I agree in Umoja too. That tells you that we were in a 1 bedroom. So the sitting room is still like a bedroom.
How many siblings?
We are 3. I'm the firstborn.
You're the firstborn.
Yes.
Oh, so your parents had 1 bedroom, you mko kwa sitting room, kwa jikoni.
You know, ukiamka unaingia kwa jikoni. And then the next step you're outside the house. Yeah. So that's where I grew from, and it's a humble beginning. I wouldn't say that I've come from this family that is the who or who. No. But one thing I said is that in every family there has to be that person who breaks the chains.
Yeah, interesting.
And
what were your parents doing? What were your...
My dad was a driver in Kenya Institute of Management, and my mom is a business lady. Yeah.
Interesting. And in growing up, because one of the things that you've mentioned also earlier on is that you've always been born a leader. How did this come from? Did you learn it either from your parents? What exactly is it that during your upbringing that actually helped nurture this?
Funny enough, my parents are reserved. They have not been in position of leadership. They are those reserved. But when I went to high school, I joined clubs. I found myself being a leader as early as Form 1, being a prefect very early, and leading clubs and leading teams, high school, and rising up to almost becoming a deputy captain of the school, a school captain. So all through, then once I left school, in church I was a youth leader, chairman. Every aspect you go to a team, you find people are just selecting you to lead them. So I found myself in circles where people are given an opportunity to choose a leader amongst themselves. You are chosen most of the time. I find myself being chosen into leadership. And through that, I think I've learned and I've been into leadership. So I've grown into leadership.
Interesting.
I've grown in leadership.
And something that you've mentioned earlier on is that you wanted to break the chain within the family. And maybe what's that chain you wanted to break? Is it the chain of poverty? Is it the chain of lack? What exactly is it that you wanted to break off? Because you've actually just mentioned it quite earlier. We have come from a normal family. Norm. As in, I remember I kept telling myself that one day I will drive my own vehicle. So your parents knew? Your dad only used to drive the company's vehicles?
Yeah, the companies. The vehicles you interacted with were company vehicles. And and from that background of Umoja too, kept saying that one day I would want to move to my own space and even just break and do things that have never been done in your family. Be the person who does the things that people wonder or think they are not supposed to be done by this family. It's supposed to be done by another family. And I felt I should be the initiator and the starter.
And you've also mentioned, and you've mentioned it several times, that the church, the Presbyterian church that you've grown in has had a very high influence. How has church, what's it called, maybe just break down, how's that influence been for you? Because for some people, maybe church is there and then people maybe break away from the church, but you have always been in the church. Up to this particular point, you've been part of the church. How has church been important, or rather, how has it helped you nurture to have you be who you are today?
I think it has given me a foundation. It has given me a grounding, because without a grounding, you're not able to stand. For you to be able to lead, you must first stand. For me, I would say that space has given me a grounding. and that is the first place that I led a team. That's the first place that I led a big team, because I led the youth in Umoja, led the youth in Nairobi, and led the youth in Kenya, in the atmosphere of the Presbyterian circles. So that one gave me a space to learn how to lead, and it gave me a space to discover my passion and to discover my talents and my giftings. So I would say that the circumstance around the Presbyterian Church has grounded me, and number two, it has been my discovery ground. So for me, it gave me a platform of discovering who I am and who I am not.
That's very interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, because I know everybody, it's always different stories. I'd always like to know that.
Yes.
So you mentioned you found your way into university. Which university did you go to, and what did you study, and what exactly were you aspiring to do post-university?
I went to St. Paul's University, did a Bachelor of Business Management, and did a management major. Why did I choose business? Because I looked forward to being a creator and to creating my own, creating my own space and creating my own company that I can start. So the reason I went into business was because I wanted to be a CEO, remember? And an
also, that dream was never left. It was always in your mind all through.
Yes. So me going into business is because I knew I would create. And as I told you, I always want to be a creator. So that is what actually motivated me to be that. Then after that, I did masters.
So you did masters immediately?
After 1 year, I did masters MBA, strategic management, Nazarene University. And so strategic management because of leadership. So it's just enhancing the skill and making sure that I learn what every other person as I become a better leader.
Interesting. And during that particular stint, you're also employed for a while. Maybe just take us through how exactly was that, where were you employed, and how exactly was that particular experience for you?
One, I didn't go to university direct. My parents couldn't afford university. So first I went to Kenya Institute of Management because my dad worked there as a driver. So as an employee of
Kenya, your dad will drop you to school?
You have to wake up early in the morning, 5 a.m. because he's in the company car. The gari lazima ifike ofisi by 6. So unaenda unagojea class 8 from 6:30. Being an employee there means that they are allowed their subsidies. So me, I was a beneficiary of the subsidies of KIM. So having done a diploma, and they couldn't take me through university, so I had to look for a job. And one of my friends around chat told me one of the persons were looking for an admin, and I took the challenge. Went to a company called Aquael Services Limited, and Aquael Services Limited was a consultancy firm that deals with groundwater. Went there.
So you just went there as an administrator?
And an office assistant.
At how old? It was during that stint before you went to university, or during the stint to your scheme?
Before you went to university, just immediately after diploma.
So in your early 20s?
Yes. So there I was just an admin assistant. So I was there assisting and making sure that everything is running, and I was the person who was doing the show in the office. And one founder called Simon Joroge. And that's a family that's a man that I really honor, and the family I honor because they took me as their own and allowed me.
You didn't even have experience or anything. They gave and it was a job. It was not an internship.
Actually, they employed me by the basis that I am from a church. So
so the church also came. CV yako ni kanisa.
And then the person who gave them referrals from the church. So they allowed me, and I stayed with them for good 10 years.
Wow. Interesting.
Yes.
That's very interesting. So the basis of you getting this opportunity is because you got a recommendation from someone from the church. So the church has been very, very beneficial.
Very.
Interesting. How are these 10 years? Because primarily from a very young age, you always want to be a CEO. Your parents could only just take you to high school. University was still an issue. How was this 10 years? What exactly was going on during these 10 years?
I joined Aquael Services, and I'd been, got a salary still in my parents' place.
What was your first salary?
Less than 20,000. Around 15K.
15K?
Yes.
Nilikuwa nakatwa bado tax?
Yote ilikuwa nakatwa. From Umoja to Ngong Road.
What?
So I could go to Mtindwa, get a train. That was 15 bob.
Oh, train. Oh, yeah, 15 bob.
Ile 7 a.m.
Ulipanda job unaingia ndani?
Naingia ndani. And then 15 minutes you're in railways, you spend 15 bob. Then you take the old matatus, 10 bob to Ngong Road. So uchukui nganya. because you know you have to budget. Uwezo wa mfuko. So that's how I started. And then why would I do that? Is because I was hoping to join university, and my parents are not able, so I have to start saving so that I can enroll on an evening class. So I think the first year I started saving. I was just a member. I joined in our church. There's a Sacco called Umoja Wendani Sacco. So I joined it, and I think I was saving. That time minimum contribution per month was 200 bob. So I was a believer of that Sacco. I was saving 200 bob per month. And because I knew at one time I needed ×3 of my amount so that I go to university. So that's how I started my journey.
Interesting. And so you're earning 15,000 per month. You're trying to save. You still have your dreams to go to university, and you're still trying to manage. How did you keep your dreams alive during this period of time? And also saw somewhere within your resume that you also got to rise and get like a promotion in between. How was that phase? What was going on through your mind during this particular phase?
Good. First thing first, opportunities don't announce. You must grab opportunities. You must create your space. I went into Aquile and created my space and brought efficiency. So this is a family business, and comes in, I put things in order, I put systems in order. And the founder...
And how did you learn all these things? Because probably, Umoja, how did you learn all these things?
Being a leader, you've been leading a team, maybe you may elect a secretary somewhere, there's a time you're taking minutes, so I'm a good communicator, so you get those forums, you're sent to go and negotiate by the company, that we are told, go see this client, negotiate, agree, when you go to the client, you negotiate, you close the business. So that way, and the owner realized, hey, this is a person that I need to put. At times he left the country like for 1 or 2 weeks, and I'm there running the show. And
as a young 21-year-old,
yes.
And all this you learned them through your exposure through church and leadership.
Yes.
Oh, that's very interesting. And then you mentioned you created your own space. So just take me through, how did you create this space, and how did you also end up getting? I saw you also got a promotion in between.
Diligence. You must be diligent. You must be disciplined. And you must be dedicated. I was diligent in my work. I was dedicated into that job. They knew that they had a dedicated work. They knew that they had a diligent work. And I was disciplined. We never had issues of me coming to work late, or those SMSs you send in the morning that you are not coming and all that.
My
so
stomach,
I was diligent, my stomach, food poisoning.
It's always very appropriate on Monday morning.
Food poisoning. I didn't have stories of food poisoning and all that, or mazishi, SG, or what. So I was just diligent. I think to them also they realized that they have someone who is committed. So they allowed me this. They gave me the space to do things. Like now closing business, they allowed me to take charge of the office. They allowed me to run the administration part. They allowed me to run even the business development part, where I could go look for business, convert clients, go negotiation. So I learned a lot about converting customers, negotiation skills, because also negotiation is a skill. So I learned more about communicating to clients, closing, negotiation, and all that. So they gave me that space of learning all that, and I took it. And then they also allowed me, and they kept seeing that, and they kept progressing and promoting me through that.
Interesting. And one of the things that I'm just learning from you, and it's very interesting, is that you grew up in Umoja, an environment whereby, I wouldn't say produces much, because most of the influences, either guys who either get into drugs, eventually maybe getting on into robbery and the stuff. Not a huge percentage don't amount to something substantial because of the environment.
It's not the Kilimani.
True. That is the reality though. How did you keep yourself from all this? Because when you mentioned Umoja, the first thing that comes to mind either most quote unquote, and it's just widely, most don't amount to anything. How did you keep yourself diligent throughout it out?
Remember the grounding I was given in church? And remember the desire to be different and the desire to break the chains? That kept me grounded. That kept me wanting to move in and make it, because I had that intention to break those chains. Yeah.
Interesting. And also one of the things that you'd mentioned also earlier on is that you are very strategic in terms of what you wanted to achieve, most of to get fees what influenced you to join the Sacco, first of all? And maybe, what's it called, also, how did you join the Sacco, beyond just being a saver, to join the Sacco as being part of the board?
Wow, thank you. First thing first, before I become a chairman of the Sacco, I am a member first. I joined this, we are currently a chairman of Umoja Wendani Sacco. Umoja Wendani Sacco was started 2001, so we are 22 years old. It was started by our parents. So I'm a beneficiary of the Sacco through my parents, and my parents have been a member. I'm member number 654.
Wow.
So if I'm member 654, it tells you that I joined that Sacco those days of Kim, of doing the diploma. Because then the qualification was just to save 200 shillings per month. For me, that was 50 bob per week. That was 10 bob per day in 5 days.
So the budget imekata on a train.
So nikidandia train, I'm good. So I joined it, and after that, after some few times, we went to the AGM and was elected as by the members. I went, asked questions, I communicated, and I was elected into the board.
Interesting. And on that particular point whereby he's joined the board, you're going to take a short commercial break, and then after that, you're going to find out how this particular journey transpired from talk about a train kukua chairman, how that happened. So see you after the break. So welcome back to the show. Before we went on a break, we're just having this particular conversation as the transition that Ngotho went through, just from being someone who used to get the train to being the chairman. So first of all, how did you get the confidence to vie to become a board member in your 20s? And then in a Sacco whereby primarily Sacco is always predominated, quote unquote, by our parents.
I was the first young person to join into the board that time. And I just went to an AGM and I asked some tough questions. And then when it was time for election, you were told anyone who wants a vote to come. And because I was the only young person who got the confidence to go in front, those are the days that you're told, yeyote anayotaka kiti kuja hapa mbele. By the fact that I just took the step of going pale mbele, the parents were shouting and clapping. So nikajua hiyo ni kura already. So that's a good mistake, because amongst the people who went in front, I was the only young person. The others were preliminary, as you're saying, old.
How old were you, and what gave you that confidence?
Less than 25 years old then. Ndio tu kujiamini.
Na wao ni sema 200 per month.
Bana, kujiamini tu. Kujiamini, hiyo time nilitake advantage being the only young person who was pale mbele. And I went into a board of 13 and I was the youngest.
And had you thought about it before, or it was just an action of just impulse?
There are things that were not happening right. And I knew them by what I could see. And at times you take some ideas to those wazee and they would like, unajua nyinyi vijana
bado ngoja the leaders of tomorrow.
That is the day when Mishuki was the real minister. We have been told, unajua nyinyi vijana hamuoni wazee kama wanaweza kazi. Unaona vile Mishuki anafanya kazi, hii ni wakati ya wazee. So wazee kake saa tunakubali, acha kina Mishuki waendelee. Yes.
Interesting. So you stood up and then you voted into the vote. How did that happen? Just take me through that.
So in the circles you go to an AGM, and one of the agendas is election. In every year there must be a third rule. A third of the board must retire. They are eligible to go back. But if there are people elected, so I stood up, and when people are voting, I got the majority vote. So amongst the three that were re-electable, one was out. So that's how I got in.
Oh, so you replaced Mzee?
I replaced one of them, yes.
Alright, so you got into the board. Did you have a specific function, or to just...
So the first thing I went into the board as in the board there is the CMC, that is the Central Management Committee, and there's the Supervisory Committee. The Supervisory Committee is the one that checks what the board does. So I went in as a member of the Supervisory Committee. Been there 5 years, then after 3 years when there was another election and I was due for retirement, I vied for the other position on the Central Management Committee. Yes. Then when I vied, then I was re-elected back and went to the Central Management Committee. Then I was voted in as the Vice Chairman of the Sacco that time, as the youngest ever vice chair of that Sacco.
So when you joined in, I presumed you'd not had any particular experience at being part of the board, which is forms of part of the governance structure. How was it? What did you learn through this experience, and what gave you the confidence to still want to get a higher position, despite just being the youngest in that particular group?
One of the things that moves me is wanting to bring change, is wanting to do things different, is wanting to bring a paradigm shift. And I felt like, not that I thought the Wazis had not done anything. Must appreciate and acknowledge that the founders had done something because they had laid a basis. But remember, in business, if you don't change, change will change. Change will still happen. And I felt like at times, me, I'm a risk aver. Personally, me, I'm a risk taker. Mimi ni risk taker, kaende. Tutajulia mbele. So I felt like this Sacco, we needed to just take a small risk and this Sacco will blossom. So what that motivated me to go to the central management is because when I'm in the supervisory, I'm not a decision maker. But when I go to the central management, I'm a decision maker. So that's what motivated me to go to the other side of being a decision maker. Yes.
Interesting. And being part of the supervisory, are you a non-executive or an executive member? Do you get involved in the day-to-day, or you just make the decisions and the strategy?
We are in the governance. Like not being, when I was the vice, there's the governance part and there's the administrative part. The Sacco of staff, we have 13 staff. So we are in the governance and there's the administrative. We make, we pass bills and everything, then the staff implement. So we don't do day to day. We are
just more in terms of the strategy and the oversight.
Yes.
And then something very interesting, when you got in as part of the board, you were still, trying to get yourself into university, you're still working, you're still trying to find your way through becoming that particular CEO. How exactly was you balancing your life? When you board member, bado nakimbia kwa train, bado naenda job, how exactly was that particular phase?
One, went into school 2 years because I had a diploma, I just needed to do 2 years, finished degree, graduated.
You're also still working for Aquawell?
Yes, because it was part-time in the evening. So I leave work by 5:30 I'm in class, and by 8 I'm done, I'm home. Then I'm not married. So nilikuwa bachelor, so I had no other responsibilities. Took up home, no that. So Sacco is only, you go for meetings only.
How often are you meeting as a board?
Once in a month.
Or once in a month?
So once in a month. And because in supervisory it's not demanding, so for supervisory we'll go there once in 3 months. Because we go to oversight what the board has done for a quarter. So we'll go there for 3 meetings once in 3 months. So that's how I was able to balance all that.
Interesting. And now you had worked with Aquawell for 10 years. You're still part of the board member and you're still trying to rise through the board of the Sacco. Why did you now decide, let me also set up my own business? When did Pumptech, the idea come about, and why did you decide to go through it?
So Aquawell being a consultancy firm for boreholes, I discovered that there is a niche in the service.
So for consultancy, they just used to look for clients and just help them map out the opportunities in terms of drilling a borehole.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes,
and then you used to get someone else to do it.
Yes. So I saw there was a need for service. So when I saw there's a need for service, and there's a company like Davis and Shatliff, they do service. Once the consultancy does the consultant, the driller comes and drills, then there's the people who come and install the pump. Then after a while, the pump needs repair and service. I realized there's a niche in there. One of my friends was in that, so he encouraged me. So first thing I did is get a second-hand Land Cruiser. The Land Cruiser was like 700,000.
Where did you get the money?
Went to the Sacco. Remember in the Sacco,
you had saved that amount?
Not 700. I needed 700. So in the Sacco, if I need 700, I just needed 230,000. Because in the Sacco, you are given 3 times your savings. So I used my the third multiplier. So took a Land Cruiser and just started a service as a side hustle in the evening. So you would get some jobs. Please come and lift my pump, it's not working. Please come and install my pumps. I need a new pump installed. That's how I would work on it.
And you had learned all this just through your friend or through research? How did you?
My friend had research, so he kept encouraging me, you can do it as a side hustle. So for me, the Land Cruiser was a side hustle. Then I was still employed at Aquawell, so that's how it was.
And for how long did you do it as a side hustle before now deciding, let me now go out on my own?
What happens is that I started realizing that the side hustle becomes the main hustle. But I started realizing that the side hustle is making more than the main hustle. So
you're going to live more than 15,000.
So I'd gone up and I'd got more than 15, but at that point, also in that journey, I got married, and then once we got married, now we have a kid, and both of us are employed. Times in the journey of parenthood, you needed to check on your kids, so we felt that one of us needs to be flexible, and so that's how the journey of deciding Pumptech. I decided one day, because I have a Land Cruiser, I left and let me do it, and I didn't have an office, so my car was an office. So everything is in the car. Yes,
you consulted the vehicle.
Yeah, and I started it as a business name. I didn't start it as a limited company. So I started as a business name. I just got a name, Pump and Tech. And I said Pumptech. Solutions. Then let me give solutions. And that's how it started as a business name.
Interesting. And one of the interesting things that I've seen such your quick trajectory, more so, what's it called, inspired by leadership. How was it now making that full transition? Because you're not literally done your business by yourself, but how was that particular transition for you, whereby you used to depend on this job and you've been doing it as a side hustle, I mean, now it's able to provide for me, now I want to set it by yourself. How was that particular transition like? You'd mentioned your wife also had assisted through that particular process. Just take us through.
Well, it's not easy. You know, now, there's always that fear. Am I going to make it? The fear of the unknown. To be sincere, that you have to conquer the fear. There's that fear of the unknown. So you're like, do I do it? Do I not do it? But remember, I told you I'm a risk averse. So also the risk averse came in now.
But if you're a risk taker, I can try to imagine your wife is the opposite.
Yes, but she was also pushing me. And I must acknowledge her for actually being the person behind pushing me. She's Judy Bliss, and I really acknowledge and appreciate. She's been the pusher behind and pushing. So that's why I decided one day, just give it 10 years down the line. I was like, been here, have done it. I think just allow me to go out there and just try other things.
Interesting. In starting any particular business, of course, there are always those challenges, because you had mentioned you're getting into a business that's very capital intensive. You had gotten a loan to buy your first Land Cruiser that's going to support you in terms of the business. What are the initial challenges that you faced in terms of trying to set yourself into the market and trying to find your way into now running it as a big business?
One, I would not employ permanently because I couldn't afford maintaining a monthly pay. So I would get people, you give them per job. If they go for a job, that's when you pay them. So that's where I started. It was tricky because remember I bought a second-hand car. It's an old car, so you share with the mechanics. Yeah, so you share the mechanics. So the challenges is I got a second-hand, but my budget could not allow to do a new. So, but that is where I wanted to start. And personally, I keep saying starting is the hardest part. So I was like, let me start. So that's how I started. So with one Land Cruiser, then over time, got other companies that are selling their equipment, bought a Rory. Yeah, so that's how I started.
Interesting. And how is it, because through your journey, I think you were more exposed in terms of the leadership positions. You'd not literally done business on this particular skill. What lessons did you gather, especially from your earlier years, being that you're making your first transition now into running a big business?
One, a network is a network. I have friends who are doing what I want to do. I have friends who are doing it. So I kept a friend close who was doing what I want to do. And I will be guided. It's always important to get someone who's gone ahead of you. And in this life, you have to appreciate there will always a person who is above you, a person that is in the same level, and a person that is below you. And at that point, I looked for a person who was ahead of me, who could now guide me and lead me and show me the way. And someone that I could run to and encourage me and tell me what to do and what not to do. So I had to look for a mentor, person who's done it. So that's one of the things that helped me to go through that transition. And as you say, business has seasons and business have times. You are not assured that you're going to get this business. So I remember that point at Pumptech, and I was still doing farming. So when I left Akora,
so what were you doing? What were you farming?
French beans. Yes, I've done French beans, I've done onions.
You're just doing them as just
my dad had a farm in Kantafu. So I went in there and just went to farming. So when this Land Cruiser is not busy,
it goes to the farm.
Beans,
Yeah.
I'm going French beans for export. I've done chilies, I've done onions. So I knew every Friday at least I would make some 70K for the chilies every week. So that's how I was surviving. And in business, you must be able to manage your cash flows. You must be able to manage your inflows. And at that point, one of the things I did is to make sure that you increase your income, not increase your expenditure. So that's why at that point, I didn't start with an office. My car was an office. I was a walk-in office. So because at that time I could not manage to do the overheads of an office, bills and all that. So I didn't start with taking a big office. I started by just having a car and a phone and a laptop. So if you call me, you want a quotation, I just go to my laptop, send you a quotation. If you want me to meet you, I tell you, let's meet in the farm. Let's meet to the site and discuss this business in the site. So customer would say, I'm available to go to site. Kumbe, it's an office I don't have.
I prefer being at the site and see what it goes up.
So that we discuss in the on-site and agree. Yeah.
Interesting. And you've been at a point whereby you didn't have money, you've grown up in poverty, and now you're in a phase whereby we can say you've experienced also money. How do you rank these particular two opposites?
Wow, the two opposites, you have to just be disciplined. Because if you're not disciplined, you are told that money is the source of all evils. So if you're not disciplined with money, you must realize that, our generation, we are more of funding lifestyles. We are more of funding what people are seeing and what people are thinking about you. So one of the things that I've done is to also keep abreast and realizing that we do not have to actually certify people. Someone say if you are in the business of pleasing people, you should be selling ice cream. Because if you want to please people, I made sure that I started small, but I didn't stay small. So you have to make sure you don't get a business. You go sign a deal of 1 million, then you go and start driving a big car, or you start moving. So what has put me abreast is number one, to manage cash flows. Because in business, if you don't manage cash flows, I have a loan. If you don't manage cash flow, I'm not going to pay my loan. So and if you don't pay your loan, they start being auctioned. So putting the cash flows and cash out above, that is very important in business.
Interesting. And you've mentioned about managing cash flows, and maybe I also want to bring also the conversation back to the Saccos, whereby Saccos are an important element, especially for the Kenyan lifestyle. And maybe just take me through, when you first joined the Saccos, what was the asset base looking like, and where is the asset base now, as of now?
When I joined the Sacco was less than 6,000 members. The asset base was less than 500,000. We were not much. We were still struggling and joining members. So the first thing we did is that when we joined, we first did a rebranding of the Sacco. We found a Sacco with a logo, the normal logo, the Sacco logo with two people holding hands. That was our logo. The first thing we did is to change our outlook. So once we changed our outlook, members started appreciating where we are going. We also changed our offices, how they look and all that. Currently, we are talking about an asset base of 1.7 billion. Yes.
Interesting. How did you guys grow this particular asset base? And what is the asset base looking like? What's it called? Maybe 10 years ago.
10 years ago, we were less than 500 million.
Oh,
yes.
So you have like times 3. Oh, actually over times 3.
Yes. One, we have done a teamwork as a board. We were intentional. Going forward, we were intentional. When I joined as a young, other young men joined the board as young and different professions, IT, bankers. So we were strategic now by bringing people who have a professional background into the board because we wanted it to be a bank. So we started now being intentional with the people that are coming into the board so that they bring their expertise. Because as much as I'm telling you I'm a leader, I'm not an expert in everything. I don't know everything. You have to bring people who know what you don't know. You have to bring a board that is diverse so that you are able to complement and bring value addition into the board. First thing we did is a teamwork. So we brought different diverse skills and different capacities And that has helped the Sacco. For us to be able to grow this way, number one, we have embraced technology. In our society, you don't have to go there physically. We have a mobile application that you can reach the Sacco from your hands. You have an app. So one of the things we've done is that we actually embrace technology in a high rate. That we have done even the B2B integration between COP and COP. You can go to the COP bank, deposit your deposit. You don't have to bring a slip to a Sacco. Before you leave the bank, you get an SMS confirming your amount has hit your account. So the first thing we did is to embrace teamwork, and the second one, technology. That has been a game changer. Yeah.
Interesting. From theme I'm getting out of your life is leadership is what exactly has helped you succeed in employment, in business, in the circles. From your experience, what exactly, maybe you can share with us a few lessons around leadership that you have learned and have embraced and you have it as part of your culture in executing leadership.
Number one, you'll never take people where you've never been.
That's true.
Never take people where you've never been. As a leader, you must take initiative to grow and go to a vision. So if you want to take people to a place, you must first define the
where
destiny.
that place, yes.
You must define it. So one of the things that I've learned is defining my destination. Because when I define the destination, I am able to convince people to follow me. Someone said if you are a leader and you look behind, no one is following you. You're just taking a walk. So the first thing that has changed leadership is defining the destiny. No one will follow a parked car. One of the characteristics about a parked car is not moving. People are looking for someone who is moving. So, and for you to move, you must be able to move in a direction. So far, define the destiny. Then the destiny will give you direction. So that has been number one in leadership, defining the direction. Number two, you must be able to actually tell people the vision. Be able to actually explain to people, bring it out well. Be able to show people the bigger picture. You must bring up the bigger picture. People want to know what makes you stand out from the rest. Even in this circle, what is making me stand out as Umoja Wendani Sacco? What is the one thing that will tell people that Umoja Wendani Sacco stands us out? Actually, now we are talking about 13,000 members, a deposit of 1.8 billion, a share capital of 192 million. And you're almost becoming a FOSA, meaning that you're working towards becoming
a FOSA. Right now you're a bossa.
We are a bossa. So you're working to become a FOSA. And in the Presbyterian Church, we are the biggest Sacco. So you have to be, there has to be something that makes you stand out. What is this one thing that makes you stand out? You have to have that one thing. So defining, knowing your one thing that makes you stand out.
Wow, interesting. Wow. I've really learned a lot more so on leadership, and that's a very interesting conversation from Kenneth Ngotho, who is the chairman of the Umoja Wendani Sacco. He's also the director and also the founder of Pumptech Solution, and quite an interesting conversation that you've just literally gotten to have and learned quite a lot. Thank you so much for having watched the show. Hope you've learned a thing or two from my particular conversation. As always, you're recording this particular episode at the Capital Club, the place you need to be. At the Capital Club, once you're a member, you have access to so many different particular amenities. We're filming this room in one of those particular meeting rooms that you have access to, and literally to enable you close those particular deals that we've been talking about. So thank you so much for having watched the show. My name is Ian Dennis, and this has been The Late Night Business. Until next time, I'll see you right here on KTN Home.